The book is called Surrender. 40 songs, one story. I loved reading this. I'm not just telling you that.
Oh, thank you.
I will say that when I heard you were writing a memoir, I thought for someone who has had the career that you have had, someone who has put themselves out to the world in all of these ways through your music and your performing, didn't you want to keep something for yourself? Because I feel like you put it all in here. You give us everything. Or maybe
Actually,
you don't.
No, I have another book coming. I mean, actually, there's so many people and places and occasions that shaped me and my life that I haven't in there. You know, I haven't put in there. I found it really hard to leave out stuff.
Yeah. By way of shaping the rest of our conversation, I'm going to ask a specific question that's not nearly probably as easy to answer. What was the most consequential decision you've ever made?
When I asked Alison Stewart, as she was known then, I think asking her out was the most important thing. I would say that first surrender, my faith, that surrender, kind of were the same. You know, I associate them. I suppose it's, God, is it unconditional love? You know, I mean, I'm 15 or 16. What do I know of unconditional love? But I may not know what it is, but I know what it isn't because I'm in a house, 10 Cedarwood Road in Dublin. My mother's passed away. The three males are shouting at each other.
Your dad and your older brother Norman. Yeah.
Yes, and I know what it isn't. So when I find it, it connects me spiritually as well as personally. And that happens to be the same week as I join U2.
We have to just say out loud for people who don't know, you are still married to
Yeah,
Alison.
I'm still married. And if I wasn't with Ali, perhaps I wouldn't be with Edge, Adam and Larry, because I think having a partner, girlfriend, then wife, who kind of knows when you say something like, I'm going to kill him now, and no, you can't. Take your hand, get that voodoo doll out of your hand. That's a pin. There's nothing funny about that. You love this man or these men.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. You know, so she's just been really a kind of spirit guide. But one of the things I discovered as I wrote this book was I had, and maybe we all do, and you know, this is a big hello. Be careful of making these kind of pronouncements type moments.
Yeah.
I wonder if sometimes we do have what we need around us that's there. I certainly felt and have continually felt that the people I need are right there. I just had to see them. And I feel very fortunate.
It also does require some wisdom to be able to see not just the good around you in these people, but then to work to keep them around you for so long. To not jeopardize the relationships.
And if you don't have that wisdom, find people who have it.
Right.
So I've found, I would say Ali had more wisdom than I. I would say, you know, in the band, there's collective wisdom there as well as individual. Another thing I found over the while was I would meet people whom others would not have in the room.
What do you mean?
I mean, not personal hygiene. I mean unusual people, abrasive characters, who others would go, oh, you know, I've always wanted to be around a really good argument. And, you know, I like one. I think you're as good as the arguments you get, really. And I just had a lot of really good ones around me.
That's a great segue to your dad, with whom I think you shared some arguments.
Yes.
Did he appreciate your musicality? Did he think you had a good voice?
Yeah, in the end, and medium term, I'd say he was coming around. I was going to call the book "The Baritone Who Thinks He's a Tenor," because that's what my dad used to say, you are a baritone who thinks he's a tenor. And it's very accurate of me as a personality, I think.
What does that mean, that it captures something about your personality?
I punch over my weight. Just, I'm only interested in punching over my weight. I'm always picking fights with people I shouldn't. You know, as a kid, that's who I am, or ideas or whatever. I think my father would say it was of your station, might be a little bit. Whenever somebody says that, I get all Irish on them. You know, it's like, above my station, really? And, you know, rock and roll, where I come from, is kind of rooted in defiance.
I loved that moment in the book where you talk about the moments right after he died. He suffered from cancer. And, well, you tell it. Your voice changed after he died.
This is a very unscientific theory I have, Rachel. It's a kind of folksy idea, really, that when someone you love passes on, there might be a kind of gift in their passing, like a living will and testament for you or something. And I think I might have become the tenor. My voice certainly changed, but that also had something to do with, and this is not a unique phenomenon, when a loved one is missing from your life, as in a manifestation, as physical manifestation, their essence becomes kind of strong, and I had to put a few things right with my father, so I had this moment where I apologized to him, and I went to a little chapel that I know. You know, it was sort of classic confession sort of moment. Over here in America, you would call that visiting your shrink. And I will do that too when I get time, he said, displaying visible signs of needing that kind of thing. But and my voice opens up. And there's a physiological reason for that too, because if you are more relaxed as a person,
Right.
your voice does open up.
Yeah.
And I'm singing in a way that in the last few years, I've been singing in ways I could never have imagined I could sing, because I never thought of myself as a singer really up until relatively recently.
You also wrote that your dad said that the most interesting thing about you was your spirituality, was your religion.
My faith,
Your
yeah.
faith.
He had always said to me things like, this God stuff, the two-way conversation thing.
The prayer thing?
Yeah, he was like, I don't experience that, but you shouldn't give that up.
You write in the book on your religion, as you're talking about your faith, if I was in a cafe right now and someone said, stand up if you're ready to give your life to Jesus, I'd be the first to my feet.
Yeah.
How does that jibe with your spiritual nomadness of never finding a faith that felt like home to you?
I operate around, let's call it, a Judeo-Christian sort of set of principles. And I have a friend, a metaphysician, brilliant mind, academic, who's an atheist, who says to me when I have these conversations, look, if there is a force of love and logic, as you think there is, behind the universe, it's some extraordinary poetic genius that it would express itself, that vast force, in the child born in shit and straw, that fragility at a particular place and a particular time to a particular people. And I'm that's what I believe. But maybe that's all I believe.
Did your band share your not religious fervor? Religious seems like the wrong word, but your focus, your preoccupation with faith.
They still do. at first Adam was just like, oh man, you know, he's like, he had just one thing in life, which was just four strings are better than six. He's a bass player, just wants to be in like the badass rock and roll band. And like, oh my God, he won't write songs about girls. He's writing songs, oh God. But he stood by me, you know, and stood by us in our devotion. As it, you know, I mean, could you imagine Ireland in the 70s? It's a civil war, all but a civil war. The country's dividing along sectarian lines. So I was very suspicious, and still am a little suspicious of religious people. I mean, religion is often a club. I mean, of course, an association, but it's often a club that people use to beat someone else over the head with. And we learned that. I learned that at a very early age in Ireland.
You write that a lot of U2's music, though, is grounded in the feeling, the emotion, even the structure of a hymn.
Yeah, Edge's his family were Welsh. If you've never heard crowds singing at a Welsh-Irish rugby match, the stadium filled with song, and they sing these huge hymns, but they sing them. It's just these enormous choral, overpowering sound of I should say the Welsh sort of sing as a crowd really, really well, and that hurts for me to say that as an Irish rugby fan. It really hurts, but they sing. You know, bread of heaven, thou made to life, and we'll support you evermore. You know.
Wait, they sing that at the rugby match?
Yeah, they sing bread of heaven.
Wow.
And it's in him. It's in Edge. Those fifths, those... And that's the feeling we've been looking for in our music. Yes, we want punk rock. We want it to be brutal. We want it to be tough-minded. We want it to have big tunes. But the ecstatic music is sort of part of who we are.
Still haven't found what I'm looking for. You say explicitly in that song. There's some kind of root of that?
Yeah. There
How?
is. That's a gospel song. It's a psalm, if you want to.
What's a psalm?
Sorry, did I not pronounce that right? Psalm?
It's a psalm.
Is that how you
I
say
don't
it,
know.
Rachel? Oh, you're so posh.
I'm from Idaho. I don't know if that's my particular dialect. The psalm.
Yes, well, the interesting thing about Hebrew is that in the Psalms, ideas rhyme, not just, you know, vowels or consonants.
Yeah.
So that's why the repetition, you know, in the Psalms be like, I have picked up my mug. I am looking for a cup of tea. Yes, I've picked up that cup because I thirst.
You write that the scriptures, and I'm quoting here, remain a plumb line to gauge how crooked the wall of my ego has become.
What ego?
Your words,
How
man.
dare you?
Your words.
Did I write that? Come on.
How crooked is the wall of your ego?
Oh, at the moment, it's, you know, on NPR here, I'm just... it's getting,
I mean, you got a book
it's
out.
swelling. Watch it.
You start the book saying that you were terribly afraid as a young person of being average. And near the end, you write that there is a risk of always seeking to be filled with the extraordinary. What happens when regular life does not live up to those extraordinary moments?
Well, I have to react to the first part of your question, then I'll answer it. I would pitch my whole life against the concept that anyone is average. And my life is focused on a definition of love that I seem to have just sort of written into me, which is that love is the realizing of another's potential, realizing of your own, but another's potential. And the squandering of potential is the thing that infuriates me more than anything else. But the surrender that I refer to in the title of the book is somewhat elusive for me. I know it's my antidote because I was born with my fists up. I really need to put them down. And the search for the extraordinary is something I have to own up to, and I may have to reframe it.
Because why? Because there is a
Because
cost
it's
to it?
Everest. You
Yeah.
know, it is my drug of choice, is doing really difficult things. And it just shut up and listen is kind of where I'm at the moment, to be more...
You shut up
me,
and listen.
that I
Yeah.
just need to be more silent and to surrender to my band. It's been, you know, at the core of what I'm trying to do with my life, surrender to my wife, surrender to, you know, our maker. These are not things that come easy to me. And I wanted to write that. I wanted to witness against myself. I wish to one day surrender totally. But in the meantime, I'm on my way there. And when I say surrender totally, I do not mean making peace with the world. I'm not ready to make peace with the world. I'm trying to make peace with myself. I'm trying to make peace with my maker. But I'm not trying to make peace with the world. The world is a very unfair, deeply unfair place. And I'm ready to rumble, or whatever you want to call that. I'm ready to... I'm keeping my fists up for that one.
Bono, thanks for talking with me. It was a delight. Yeah, I appreciate you.
Up NPR.
Yeah.
Up
Did you get that?
Rachel.
Did you get that?